Hello everyone, I hope you all had a good Christmas. I am Ben Jam from Jam Studios, and welcome back to another video. Today is actually the start of a very big project I'm going to be working on and showing you. And once I figure out actually how to put it onto GitHub, I will do that so that you guys can actually download it, use it if you want to, and actually see the code for yourself. So in these next couple of videos, I'm going to be going over creating the UI of the actual inventory system, the functionality of it, so picking up items, moving them around in your inventory, and also chests as well, basically having a randomized chest, how to have multiple chests and actually interact with all of these different inventories, because having different chests is a little more complicated for inventories. But as soon as I show you a way to how to do it, then that will make it a lot easier. But there's not just one way about going at this problem, which that's the greatest thing about programming, is there's not one way. But I will surely show you guys a way so that you can get past this problem. I had this problem a while back actually. Pretty recently, on the devlog RPG game that I made, that I'm showing you guys on James Studios' YouTube channel. I had a massive problem with the inventory, and I finally found, like, there's hardly anybody who shows any tutorials or anything about it, and I finally found someone who could help, and I did, and now I'm sharing it with you guys to basically spread the word. And these videos will be a little bit longer than usual, just because of the amount of time it actually takes to write this stuff. But it's very useful if you're doing RPG-like games. So let's just get right into it. Today we're going to be creating the UI of it. It's not going to be a whole lot of stuff today. We're basically just going to set the groundwork for the next video, which will be basically getting the code to have interacting with the player inventory. So if you pick up an item, it goes into the inventory, you can move it around, things like that. I'll go more in depth on the next video, but for this one, we're going to be creating our player. He's going to be moving around. We're going to have chests everywhere that you can't interact with just yet. And if we press a button, then the inventory will appear. If we have time, we'll see if we can get some items to basically plot around our little camera area here. So without further ado, this is a new project in Godot, and we've just created our main scene right here. This is already set up to be our main scene, so if I just press play, it's just gonna run that scene. So nothing too special, but let's just jump right into it. Now we have to, as I said, create a player. So we want to create a player, a kinematic body 2D. It's just right there. We put player. Now I've already imported some things that we're going to need for this, for the project. So we're going to need, let's just start off with the sprite first, so we can actually know what we're doing here. So let's get the player image right in there. Then we got to go to animation. So we have all of these different, what looks to be like frames. So we have to make sure we get the vertical frames and the horizontal frames to the right number. For this, it's that 5 and 4. So we're gonna head and save this. Let's save it in the player file. Okay, there we go. Now we should actually get the collision shape here. Get a new capsule going. Shrink this down. And I like it to be whole numbers. So let's round that up to 2. 0 and 2. And now we have our player. So we want this guy to be moving around our screen. And with that, we're going to add in our script. So let's add it in really quickly. And here's our script right here. We have our 4 variables up top to basically regulate our speed. So how our max speed, how fast we accelerate, how fast we slow down, and then what we're actually going at, like our actual speed in the general direction. Then we have our physics process function, which is basically our movement function. This is basically how we are moving. So this is this is how we are moving. So this are the arrow keys to move our player around. And this is telling us to basically excel or slow down. Then we move down to the move function that I've made. I found out that sometimes you have multiple variables with our movement. So you can have your regular velocity, you can have a knockback, things like that. So it really helps. To me, it seems like it really helps to have just a move function, so you can just put move and then what variable you're wanting, so it just does this. And since we are doing an RPG-like thing, not our 2D platformer series, not like that, but like the devlog for the unknown RPG game, we want to use move and slide. So now that I've added this, I now need to save and add our player to our main scene. We want to just move him right front, play, and with the UI left and UI right, up and down, those are the arrow keys. So we just have him moving around, and I'm not too worried about the flipping of the sprite with the flip H. We're not too worried about that. This is just like a demo for the inventory system. It's not a demo for animations. So now that we have that, we want to create, now what we're going to create is the chest. So we want to put a static body 2D. We're going to name you chest. Alright, now this chest is going to have sprite, and you are going to be normal chest right there. You have 2 horizontal frames. Then, then we have to add in our collision shape. That's right. This one is going to be a square, or a rectangle. And we'll put on pixel snapping just so this is a lot easier to do. And boom, covers it nice and easy. So we're going to save this in our chest folder, save that scene there, and now we're going to put this in our main function. But we're going to have multiple chests around, so let's actually create a node and call this chest. And then we're going to add in our scene, our chest scene here, because we're going to have multiple chests laying around the camera, laying around our area here. So we want to make sure we have a node, that way our tree over here isn't so cluttered. So we're just going to do Control D to duplicate, to just swing them around. Play our scene, and you see we have our 3 chests in our player that we can just move around in. And this is what we have so far. Now we're actually going to create the UI, the player inventory UI of it. We're not adding any functionality to it. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a control node. This will allow us to control anything that's on this here. Oh wait, I can. This will allow us anything that can control our nodes under it, where it can be at on the camera. This will help us out with our canvas layers, which I'll get into a little bit. But if we go up to layout, we can actually lay out everything basically as a child of it. So we want to do full rect. Full rect. Interesting. Okay. That's happening, but we're just gonna move on. Act like that didn't happen, because I don't know what just happened, but basically what I'm saying is we're gonna do that. So we have the entire camera. That's what it should have happened. I don't know why that didn't happen, but yeah. And we're gonna name this control node the UI, because that's what it is. It's gonna be our user interface. It's gonna hold all of our UI-like things. So the player inventory screen, our chest inventory screen, and that would be about it. So it could hold other things like our health bars, our stamina bars, a hot bar, everything like that that basically has to do with the HUD. That has to do with your heads-up display, which is HUD. Yeah. So now let's get into the player inventory and setting that up. I am so sorry. I did mess up a little bit. This is not supposed to be the control node. This is actually, we're gonna go to change type. This is actually supposed to be our canvas layer. That's on me, that's my bad. I got that mixed up. The children of this UI is supposed to be control nodes. That's my bad. That's a my bad right there. But this canvas layer will have everything stay stationary wherever it's at. So if it's right where this chest is and our player moves around, then it will stay right where it's at according to our camera, basically this little blue box here. If it's out here, it's going to stay out there. You won't be able to see it unless you have some animation to where it just shoots out right there, right? If you have that animation, then you will see it. Then you would see it. But in this series, we're not gonna be putting a camera on our player, so you're not really gonna be able to see what I'm talking about that well. But if you see in my other videos, both series that I have besides 8-bit powers, you will know what I'm talking about with the UI. So we're gonna save that. We're gonna create a new scene, and this one we're gonna use our control node here. This one is going to be called inventory. We're gonna call this inventory, and we are okay with it being full rect. I kind of want it. Let's be center top. Let's go center top, and we're going to add in a sprite to this, which I can just do right here. Add in our sprite. I believe, yes, we do. We have our background right there. So we should be good. And we're going to move you right there. You should be good on that. So now that we have our sprite, we want to then add in a grid container. So this will show us where our dimensions for our inventory should be at, basically where our slots should go. So we want to try and line this up to meet what we want, and that's looking good. Come in, yeah, we good on that. All right. So now that we have our grid container, we want to make this. We want to add a child, a panel. Oop, that's not how you spell panel. Panel. And this is going to be our slots. But before we actually start, we'll do that later. We'll do that later. So our slots. This is going to hold on our items. So we want to show that our items are in as a child of this. So we want to go to right here to custom styles. We're going to select this empty and go down to new style box texture. We're going to click this again and go down to texture. We're going to let's throw in the empty item slot. So if we don't have an item, it will default to this. If we do have an item, then the borders, these gray borders that you see, will be black. they'll become black. Now you don't see anything right now. That is because our minimum size right now is 0, 0. To fix that, we need to go to rect, go to minimum size, and the dimensions for this specific sprite that I made is 18 by 18. So you want to make sure you actually have it down for you. Make sure you know exactly how big your sprite is. So we now have an 18 by 18 slot. Can we where? Oh well. All right. So we do not want to duplicate just yet because these slots are gonna have their own. Why am I blanking right now? I'm so sorry. They're gonna have their own scripts. So we're going to create a script for them. So we're going to attach a script and create a new one. So now that our script is finished for our slot, we have set our textures that we have. Basically, do we have an item in the slot? This is what I've talked about. This is what we actually put in as well. This is what I talked about earlier. And do we not have an item in our slot? Those are those two textures, and those are what they mean. This is basically telling us about our style box texture. So what we actually here, if we click the slots, this is the custom styles here. That style box texture, which is that. That's what it's saying. That's what it's talking about. And then we have our variables here. So we have an item class. We have commented out right now. Because this one is going to be an item scene, we do not have an item scene at the moment. So this one is commented out right now. We will be using this in the future. Then we have our variable, so our item. This is basically going to be the child of the slot, and item is going to equal the child of the slot. Now these two, this will actually help you find things that you're looking for within the inventories. So you have our slot index. This is basically what child is it. So this is going to have a slot index of 0 right here. This first one is going to have a slot index of 0. Our next one would have 1, 2, 3, 4, and it would go as many as we want. The inventory index, this is basically the name of our inventory system. So this right here would be named inventory. Then if we had a chest, that would be named chest inventory. If we had a hotbar, it would just be a hotbar inventory. It would just keep on going like that. So inventory index is the name of it. This will help us out whenever we start actually connecting signals up and having the inventories talk to one another. Then we have our function ready. So this will basically set up the textures within our inventory to basically show you have an item in here or you do not have an item in here. Then our refresh style, which is used throughout this script, is actually setting those in. So if we don't have an item, then we'll do the empty style up here. If we do have an item in it, we'll do the default one, which is it being full. Then we have the two important ones within the slots. We have the pick from slot and the put into slot. So the pick from slot is basically removing the child of the slot, and we're actually going to create another node after we're done here called the ItemInHand. This is one very important because when we actually are using our inventory, we're going to be picking up items and putting them into other inventories or somewhere else inside its own inventory. So having a node called ItemInHand is actually very important. And then the put into slot is basically that item in hand that we have out and putting it into a slot. And this is why our slot index is very important here, because we're actually going to put it in a specific place in a specific area. So a specific inventory in a specific place. That's what these two are there to help us out with. Then initialize item, it's mostly commented out because we don't have this item class variable set up right now. So this is basically useless right now, but it's basically creating an item and making it the item name, the item quantity, how much there is of it, and then refreshing all the slots to show that you don't have an item in it or you still do have an item in it. And that's what this is here. This is the second most important one within the slot here. So now we're going to save it, and we're going to save the scene as well. We have main item inventory container. We're going to put it in inventory container scene. So we're going to save that there. Now we're going to go back to our 2D screen here, and we're going to go to our grid container and actually bump this column up. Ooh, we'll see. Actually, let's just control these slots here, and then let's try and check out the columns, how much we're gonna need. Ooh, okay. I think 5. 5 should be good. So let's just keep Control D in these slots, and that should be plenty right there. We have 20 slots. So that's 21. No, oh my math. That is 20 slots. I don't know why I did. Okay. That's 20 slots right there. We're gonna save that and go to our main scene, go to our UI, and no, we do not want to add a child. We want to import or instance a child scene, which is our inventory scene, which you can see right there. That is, it's a little off, but it's all right. Then we actually want to create a child, a control node called ItemInHand. ItemInHand. And we're going to save that right there, just like that. I believe that's what it is. I believe. I gotta go check here. Item. Yes. That seems right. Alright. So now what we need to do is create our UI, basically making this thing disappear, reappear, but it is off. I can just go to the main scene here. Oh, that's not okay. Well, alright, well, we'll just leave it like that. We also want to toggle the visibility invisible as of right now, so that we can actually see what we're doing here. So we can see what we're doing. If we had this visible, it would block most of our screen, and we wouldn't be able to see our character right now. But that's fine, because we will work on that now. So we're going to actually use the button E on our computer as our switch inventories visibility. So we're going to go project settings, input map. Did I actually set one up? I did not. Alright, well, to actually create a button in here, we're going to go to action at the top, and we're going to type in what we want it to be named. We want this to be inventory, all lowercase, and we're going to click add. We scroll down to the bottom here, and we see inventory is now added as an input map. If we go over to the right where inventory is highlighted and we press the plus button and we go to key, we can now add our own key. So press a key, E. Okay. So now every time we check to see if E was pressed, we're going to check to see if inventory was pressed, which is the same thing as E. So we can close this now and create a new script called the UI.gd. So now we have this nice and very simple flipping it on and off. You don't need to worry about these two as of right now. I don't even know if we're going to be using these to be... Oh, yes, we will actually be using our player variable here, the world one. I don't remember. I don't know. We might. Who knows? But the main part about this is our input function right here. So every single time a key is pressed within the button, the go.button index, this function will run. But the problem is we're looking for a very specific one, So we want to know if the event, the button, is inventory. So is the E button pressed, then play this. But if the inventory can close with our function that we have set up right now, and we don't want to have an item out of the inventory. So here, let me show you real quick. Basically, if we press E, it will turn on. But say I pick up an item right here. I don't want to close the inventory while I'm holding an item, because then it's just going to be floating around on the screen, and I can't do anything with it, and it's just going to look very weird. So I want to make sure that ItemHand.getChildren is this, and its size is 0. So there is no child in ItemHand. Then we want to be able to toggle its visibility. And so I'm just going to show you right now. E. It has we have no items within the game as of right now, so there's not going to be any child of ItemHand as of right now. But with that, that is basically the end of our video today. I told you it was going to be a really long one, and I am sorry for that fact, but I just wanted to make sure that I break everything down for you guys so that you guys can understand, and we can take this process very slowly, because it took me a long time to actually get this. So I hope you all have a good day, and a Happy New Year as well. That's just right around the corner. Man, time flies. Time flies. Well, Happy New Year, everyone. I'm Ben Jamma for Jam Studios.